Phil Setbacks here from Jim's Cleaning in Blackburn, Southwest. It's only been a few months. So we sort of explored this 12 months ago or so, if you can remember. And it's been a bit of a learning curve and so forth, but it's been fantastic, yeah. I'd have to say it's probably what I expected, and it's what I came into the business for. So there's an enormous supply of work, unserviced leads. There's an enormous demand for these kind of manual jobs out there in the world. And for someone like me who's come from very much a corporate-y sort of life and also IT and some of those tech type jobs, right? I deliberately saw this as an opportunity because in this day and age, no one wants to do this work anymore, right? No one wants to change a light bulb or change a car tyre or clean a house, or these types of jobs are not in vogue. But by the same token, where there's a deficit, there's also a high demand. So from my side, I anticipated there'd be a massive demand for this type of work, and my assumptions that were correct. So in terms of workload and work volume and business, there's an enormous amount of work for anybody that wants it, in my opinion. Yeah, we've got a small team. There's probably half a dozen guys in the group, and that sort of fluctuates and it depends on what sort of workload we've got on at that moment. And we can turn them off and on as we need. So some are casual, some are part-time, some are full-time, but there's just no shortage of work. The bottom line is if you're hungry and you're aggressive, you just don't stop. Right, so it's always on. Yeah, for anyone looking at a very scalable and a substantial business opportunity, I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. It's out of control. It doesn't stop. Yep, so look, anything from a residential mum and dad clean to NDIS aged care support seems to be a big thing out in the community. There's people that are, I guess, getting on in age that can't take care of themselves as well as they'd like to, and that sort of tends to lead into other ancillary services. So, little old lady wants her house cleaned, that's great. Can you come back next week and do something else for me? Sure. And that builds a connection with that client, and it builds more volume of work down the track. So cleaning's the main part of it, but you'll find it'll lend itself to other little ancillary services that they, can you clean my air conditioning vents, or and you just offer yourself or through our workers that service to the end user, and they're very receptive to working with you. And that grows the client base, and also, again, from a business point of view, the revenues, the bookings and the invoicing is definitely there. From my perspective, we're very clear from our guys about embracing the gym's ethos, and it's all the little things, right? It's almost like the death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's not the one thing that you do, but it's the lots of little things that you do, and developing standards or processes. So, for example, when we do a large vacate clean, you're often very consumed, you're focused. Some person's doing a bathroom, laundry, toilet, another one's doing the carpets or the windows, and we have this little rule. And so I guess over time we've developed our own little rules and processes. So, example, we do a big vacate clean. We get to the end of that, say, guys, okay, everyone stop. We're about to finish. Let's walk back into the property. Everyone find one or two things we might have missed. And that little bit of slowdown at the end, and then to go back and recap for 5 minutes, will help deliver a high level of quality control. So little things like that we learn along the way, things like chemicals to use, products to use. We get together once a week and we will just discuss processes and what we have to do to make things work better, to make things more efficiently. It's the stupidest little things, wrapping up an extension cord around your arm, putting it in the side of your car, not just throwing it in a bundle, because next time you get there, undoing that bundle and unraveling it will waste 5-10 minutes of time. So those processes, the systems we use, there's cleaning products that are clean, some of the cloths that are used that are dirty, we put them over here in a separate bag and they get washed. It's all those little things that you can't really train someone on immediately. You've got to pick it up and do it as you go and develop your own systems that work for you and your staff. So we're very big on, to I guess answer your question, developing all these little processes that we know are going to deliver a better result to the client and make us more efficient. Embrace technology. Now, either use the gym systems, which are really, really good, or cultivate your own, but try to have things where you have multiple layers of communication. So everything is synced to my phone, it's synced to my computer. When I book appointments, if I've got appointments that are repeating in nature, I will pre-program those into my calendar. So just for the next few weeks at a time, I can see what's going on. So having visibility, I would say to everybody, just really, really get into technology as much as you can. We live in a digital age now, it's not that hard to do, but you have to basically rely on that. So, I can get up every morning and straight away I can see exactly what I've got on for the day, and also for the next few days, and know what staff or people or resources or tools I've got to put in place to get those jobs done. Another thing I'd have to make really strong comment about is the trust in the brand. It's like anything in life, you can pitch a product or a service, but when you're perceived as somewhat of an authority, authority figure, I mean, just this logo, or we dress well, we rock up in a nice car, straight away people are anticipating, and they have a high level of trust in the brand. They know they're going to get a quality person that's gone through processes of training. I'll assure clients things like we have police check our workers, we have $20 million of private liability insurance, those types of things. So we find the Jim's brand carries a lot of weight, and they're liking us before we even get to the front door. Before we even get there, they've already anticipated they're going to get a good experience, which is why they rung Jim in the first place. But it's then up to us to make sure that happens. Honestly, very stressful, baptism by fire. But again, exactly what I expected. Like, I got no idea. I'm not a janitor, I'm not a cleaner. That wasn't my ambition in life, right? But it was just, I look at this as a business opportunity. The first 2 days, I'm scratching my head going, what am I doing, But that actually added to the humour, right? So, tragedy plus time equals humour, But I know that there's such a massive funnel or focal point of work out there. Like, it's relentless. It doesn't stop, right? So if you've got a bit of get up and go and you're not scared to get out there and work hard, you've got a really, really solid business there. So, but the first few weeks, it was just nuts. We all learn differently. For me, there's no other way. Just throw yourself into something, immerse yourself in it, and just become fanatical and obsessed about what you do. And I've always taken this from Jim too. It's the Jim's ethos. You've got to have that sort of temperament. You've got to be a little bit obsessive. You've got to be a little bit compulsive. You've got to be very much into what you do, and take this business on as that. It's exactly what I expected. But the workload is absolutely fantastic. The Jim systems, the software and the tools that we're provided with, I'd say hang on those. The lead system, which is good, it comes through to our phones, etc. I mean, that's your lifeline to new clients and to business. So take as many leads as you possibly can, and just understand that it's not Jim, it's not us, it's not me that pays my wages, but it's the customer. So it's all about the customer. We are a very, very customer-centric business. We love to spoil them, give them a great experience. And if we get fanatically obsessed with giving the customer a really good transaction, then we've got a pretty good life. As soon as the lead comes through, and I think we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, I developed a couple of little graphics. That was just something I did. So at least if I'm busy, I've got my hands full, I can quickly send an SMS message to the client to know that I've at least communicated with them. From my own perspective, I'm the front line, so even though we've got a team of guys that do the work, I'm taking all the client inquiries. I like speaking to people, so I enjoy that. Some people don't. My advice would be, if you don't, get good at it, learn how to do it, because that's your lifeline to your business. As soon as they call in, I'm calling virtually straight away. I'm not letting too much time lapse. Even if I'm busy, I will at least make contact with the client to let them know, look, I'm tied up at the moment, but can I call you back in an hour or two? And they're usually fine with that. And then I'll send them an SMS to confirm, then I'll check my diaries and availabilities, and I'll progress through the process of closing that sale, i.e. making that transaction a confirmed booking. We have been pretty self-sufficient. We exercise a lot of initiative. There has been, the occasional complaint. Like any business, no matter what you do and how good you are, there's always going to be a percentage of complaints. I've never seen it in any other business where you don't get a client complaint. If and when that occurs, I talk to my upline franchisors. In particular, I work with Greg. He's been fantastic. Any issue or problem we've had, there's never been a problem we can't resolve through a bit of amicable, communication. Their system is very fair, that it takes into account, all the parameters of that transaction, what happened, what went wrong, and the assessment at the end is usually very, very fair, and it goes back to Jim if we think we can't resolve it. So the fact that Jim gets involved with that process still is very impressive, and I think the clients like that too. Being able to communicate with the call centre, I've often had to call in Jims from other franchises to support me on a job. So we do a really large job for a client. I'll need garden services, skip bin services, and the people on the phones in the call centre they're just fabulous. They're very focused. I can tell when you call them that they're very focused on giving us as a franchisee a really good experience. Look, there's just no shortcuts to success for anything. I've been involved in a number of different businesses. You've just got to do the work, and in the early days, you've got to do the hard yards. And if you exercise some proactivity in generating your own clients and building networks, it's a foregone conclusion. This will work if you do the work. It won't just all come to you, but if you're proactive and you chase a lot of it, yeah, you'll do really well. Yeah, I'd like to get to a team of, look, 15 or 20 would be fantastic. I've done a bit of cross-divisional work recently. It's been absolutely awesome because it allows you to sort of diversify a little bit. And that's quite deliberate. We go to a client, it's a mum or dad, it's a home. Sure, they need some cleaning work, but they might need some rubbish removal. They might need the gutters cleaned on their house. They might need a bit of touch-up paint done, right? So the fact that we can cross over those different segments with the one client means instead of billing one client that much, you can now bill the same client that much. And if you extrapolate that over the course of a week, a month, a year, that's a lot of extra revenue. So a team of 15 or 20 guys, Joel, doing that across multiple divisions, if we could run that for the next 1, 3, 5 years, that's our little game plan. And that's the basis of a really solid little business. And look, we're working a lot, but I'm just absolutely thrilled with what I've seen in such a short amount of time. There's just no shortage of work. Look, I've been really focused on the work. Look, it's new, it's only a few months in. I mean, the numbers, from what I'm told, are quite high for a relatively new setup. And so, look, I'm a bit fanatical. I work flat out, but I can see growth in what we're doing, and all I can see is exponential scale, that if you really apply yourself to this, it'll give you what you want. So the lifestyle for me will come later. That's not the primary reason I got involved. I got involved to build and, I guess, create something, and I'm just watching that happen. It's really rewarding. It's exactly what I expected. It's 6-figure income plus stuff, straight off the bat. Okay, so it's shortage of income and shortage of work is never going to be your issue. And you can't say that about a lot of new startup businesses, yeah? So very happy with that. And in fact, couldn't be happier. So my issues now are more logistics, how to get more staff, how to find more staff, and how to develop systems that'll deal with the growth. Look, I'm a business owner, have been my whole life. There's no such thing as something for nothing, right? And I've heard these little grizzles, and I hate to be controversial or even negative, right? People's preoccupation with fees drives me nuts. So I'm gonna tell you straight, my fuel bill and e-tags were $3,000 last month, but my income was 10 times that. I don't care if my franchise fees are $3,000 a month if my income's 10 times that, right? So to me, they're irrelevant. I've worked in other franchise industries before where the head franchisor will take 10% of your revenue, 10% of your invoice. You've got to buy all your supplies through them, plus you pay your franchise royalties, advertising and marketing fees every month, and your infrastructure costs are huge. So the fact we only pay a minimal advertising cost and a fixed or capped fee per lead per month, to me personally, is irrelevant. If that lead is going to be the source of revenue, then the bigger my lead costs per month, the more money I'm making. So I don't see it as a negative. They're very reasonable. Yeah, so having a real strong sales and marketing background, I used to have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for advertising and marketing to generate customers, right? So this is generating customers and generating work in this industry is the least of my issues. So to pay a small amount in what you'd call lead fees or franchise fees to make that happen, to me, it's a no-brainer. Every time I write a check to pay that, I'm actually happy about it. I don't see it as a negative. Now that sort of maybe conflicts with a few people's thoughts on that subject, but I don't see that as a negative at all. I see that as a real positive, and I think that's the way you've got to look at it. Oh, look, we'll use any means at our disposal. I've put ads on Facebook. I've reached out to family and friends. I've speaking to local business area leaders in the community. I've even engaged a few employment agents, and that hasn't been too bad. And they even offer you some government subsidy on some of these employment contracts. So it takes a bit of work to go through their processes, but it's worth doing that because then you'll get some subsidy for taking someone on for a period of time. So just think outside the box a little bit. There's always people looking for work. You've just got to make sure you fit the right people to that.